Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm Charley Timmins, and every week I bring you a guest who's authentic, genuine, who's going to offer you insights and practical information that you can apply to your personal and professional lives. Today is no different. Today my guest is Michael Gidlewski. Michael is the founder of a company that I've known for nearly 20 years, Achievement Unlimited. Michael is an authority in personal and professional development. And so I'm going to cut right to Michael and let him explain to you what does he do for his clients.
Thank you, Charlie. It's great to be here.
Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, Charlie, I work with small to mid-sized companies, 5 million to 500 million, and I help them grow the business, scale their business. They're businesses that are successful already, business owners and CEOs that are running a successful business, but maybe they need a little help scaling that thing up. And we go in, we work with them, we look at their people. Everything revolves around people. So if we can help them get a competitive edge by growing more leaders in the company that grow more leaders, that grow more leaders, that grow the business, it's a win-win for everybody.
So you're not talking about going in and changing manufacturing systems, you're talking about affecting people.
It's all about people. It's all about people in my world, yeah.
Okay, so expand on that a little bit for the audience.
Sure. So when we're talking about, I believe that people have a tremendous amount of untapped potential. And we have to figure out how to tap into that potential because it's all intrinsic. It's not typically rewards. So there are rewards and contests and money, but it's the intrinsic value. People want to work and know that they're contributing, that they have some value, that their work is in and of itself meaningful and intrinsically valuable. So we help them with assessments, identify. We have a validity-based assessment, so we can say these are the characteristics of potential leaders, and we can validate that, and then we can look at each person and see how they stack up.
Are those profiles? Can you look at a different industry and get different profile for a leader in a different industry?
Yes, you can do that.
Wow.
Yep. And yeah, it's all benchmark, and if it's not, then we can take the company and look at their best people and benchmark those.
So how does a company know it's time to call Mike?
One would be they've grown and they've hit a plateau. Okay, so they're frustrated and fragmented, doing too many things. Their office door looks like a revolving door at Macy's department store, right? They're interrupted all the time. So we want to help them get real clarity around what's the big picture, what really matters most, get buy-in to the vision, mission of the company, and get everybody totally engaged with that, capture their hearts and minds of the employees.
This is what is one of the biggest problems in business today, is the fact that the leaders may have a vision, they may have some clarity, but the people, the important people inside the company aren't made aware of it.
Correct.
So how do you execute that? How do you make that happen?
Well, one of the tools we use, a very powerful tool called results.com. It's a management system, platform, and dashboard. And we help the owners and the leadership team create that strategic plan, strategic vision, look out, hopefully as far as they want to, 5, 10 years, create that big, hairy, audacious goal, and then get everybody on that dashboard and then communicate that vision and mission over and over and over again. Core values, the fundamentals, what do we stand for, and get everybody bought into it.
Do you have a story of a client where you can give us a sense of the before and the after, after going through this process?
Yes. I have a client that was a few years ago, a $5 million business, and they were in this standard kind of manufacturing, old world business, if you will, not high-tech technology and things like that. And they had plateaued, and they wanted to grow the business. So we went in, we did a strategic plan, and then we started to do the assessments, make sure that the right people were in the right seats. Guess what? We found some people were in the wrong seats.
Oh.
They were wise enough to say, hey, let's move those people into the right seats.
So they didn't get rid of them, they just redeployed them.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of institutional knowledge there that would have walked out the door if they let them go, right?
Yep, absolutely. Found a guy in the warehouse who was had a great sales profile, put him in sales, and he was a great salesperson.
Who was more surprised?
I think everyone was. I think everyone was,
wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't long, 3 to 5 years maybe, they doubled that top line of that business and tripled the bottom line.
Were you there the entire way?
I was there the entire way, and I'm still there. We're rolling out new initiatives. The past 2 years ago, they moved into a new, huge, brand new facility. Big
time.
Big time.
So again, that potential was there.
Yes.
The potential was involved inside the people to help the owners realize their vision.
Correct.
And you were able to align that.
Correct.
All right.
It's difficult to see when you're a small business owner, you're involved in the daily operations. And that operational pull works like a magnet on you. So you're constantly in the business, in the operations. It's difficult, and it's always difficult when we go in to say, hey, let time out. Let's go off on a retreat somewhere and take a few days and think about your business. And they're like, oh, how can we do that? Don't have time.
So does the owners of the organization tend to change their role in how they interact with the team and run the business after you walk them through this process?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Because they're going from the role of working in the business every day, working on it, to, and it's a transition because they're making that transition from a producer, if you will, a worker, into leading a team, into leading that leadership team and then the rest of the company. So it's a different role.
So who's an ideal client for you? The audience may know a company or people that would fit the profile of the types of organizations with whom you like to work.
First of all, a successful business owner, a CEO in a $5 million to $500 million business. They're profitable, but maybe they've plateaued, or they want to grow. They really want to scale the business. And the CEOs, the owners have a growth mindset. They have a mindset of continuous learning, continuous improvement. They believe that the development of their people is important. They can't tap into that because they're just fragmented, doing too many things right now, pulled in too many directions.
So they have an awakening, it sounds like, as to a better way for them to run the company to achieve their goals.
Yes. Without a doubt.
What does this do to retention? What does it do to productivity of the individuals?
Well, the engagement issues today are phenomenal. The disengagement, I should say, of employees. Gallup has done tremendous research on that, continues to do that research.
What's that number? What's the latest number?
You know, it's somewhere totally disengaged and on the border, 40, 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the disengaged employees, they're recruiting the engaged employees to come on their team. Yeah. Ain't it so awful here, team? So when you start to get everybody engaged, what happens is the engaged employees see the non-engaged employees not producing, not holding their own. They're saying, hey, they go to their supervisor, the manager, and saying, you got to do something about this. And that's what happens. Puts a lot of positive peer pressure, if you will. Because everybody that's engaged, they want to do a good job.
Give the audience a sense of your journey, because you didn't wake up one day and say, you know something, I want to be a growth catalyst. So share with the audience your...
Sure.
Truth be known, I've known Michael for over 20 years.
Yes.
And he's still doing the same kind of work. He must be good because he's still in business doing it. So share with them this journey that you've had.
Okay, so for 25 years, when I left college, I went into the wholesale distribution business, sporting goods wholesale distribution business. And I worked that business for 25 straight years.
You were an employee?
I was an employee, general manager level, VP of sales, sales management. It was all sales driven, right? It was all, the more we produced, the more the overrides came in for me and all my salespeople. Everybody was on an override. This was the 70s, 80s. It was kind of a wild time. And I was always looking for, how do I motivate my people? And I didn't really learn much about intrinsic motivation. It was all about external rewards. And we had more contests than you could shake a stick at. We had showrooms just full of contests going, fishing trips to Cozumel, Mexico, widescreen TVs before there were even such a thing, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And everybody was in a frenzy. It was almost like a little, the Wolf of Wall Street and a very small regional distribution center. But I just kept searching for how do I motivate my people? How do I help my people make more money? It was all about money.
So there was a pivotal event. I'm hearing a pivotal event in your case.
Oh, yeah. Yep, there was. What happened was I was reading all these magazines. Success Magazine at the time was being printed and then went out of business, back in business now. And there was a little ad in there for a company called Success Motivation Institute, Paul J. Meyer Company. And those words caught me, success and motivate, boom. I called them up, I said, what's the deal? They said, come down to Texas. I flew down to Texas, learned all about intrinsic motivation, attitude motivation, changing attitudes and behaviors.
From the inside out.
From the inside out, not from the sales manager giving more and more rewards to his salespeople.
I think of Alec Baldwin in Glengarry Glen Ross, right? That's not the way you did it.
Yeah, it was bad. But so anyway, what I did was I bought this franchise. I had no idea.
Okay.
I said, you know, put on a couple of these credit cards, let's rock and roll and see what happens. I left the distribution business a few years later. I used the tools in the business I was in. They worked, changed everything, the way I did everything, and I started to find that doing this kind of work was very meaningful to me. Whereas before it was just about the money, now it was about the meaning. Now it was about like really helping people tap into their greatness and they could have a more meaningful life, create more freedom, less stress, and it was a win-win for everybody.
So the proof of concept came when you used your own team.
Yes.
And applied these principles and concepts.
Yes.
And it worked.
And it worked, and I said, I'm going to do it on my own. Jump off the bridge.
And one day you were on your own totally.
One day I was on my own.
That's
when I hit the bottom of the pool and realized there was no water in it.
That's when I sort of met you, right?
Yes.
Hit the bottom of the pool. So what has been the most gratifying thing that's come from that decision for you?
Oh, my goodness. The blessings have been unbelievable. My entire life has shifted from external rewards, I got to have more stuff, to a very satisfying life. I have a great relationship with God as I understand Him. I have, you know, things are, I'm beyond the word gratitude. When I wake up every day, and I look down, I see there's no chalk line around my body. I know it's going to be a good day, no matter how much traffic's out there, how many people are texting in the left-hand lane when you're trying to get by. But I really do feel that way. I do 5 gratitudes every day. Learned that from a guy 10 years ago in a workshop, actually 15 years ago, right after 9/11. And I've been writing those gratitudes every day. And you're in there today. I'm grateful for Charley Timmins being in my life. It's a beautiful thing.
I'd like to hear what they are, but we need to go take a break because we have to hear from our sponsors.
Okay, great.
Please stay on the line. We'll be back to hear more from Michael Gidlewski. Thank you.
Order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. We're Stelly Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVNTV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVNTV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media. embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write, the ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks,
Welcome back to What's Your Story? My guest today, Michael Gidlewski. Michael has a company called Achievement Unlimited. He's been at this work for almost 20 years. So he has seen who started out aspiring to be winners. So Michael, you were talking about a routine you do every morning.
Yes, yes.
And you were talking about 5
Gratitudes.
Could
Yes.
you share with the audience
Sure.
Michael Gidlewski's 5 gratitudes?
I can do that. So my morning routine is really important. I get up, I get the coffee ready, and then I meditate for 30 minutes, read some scripture, some good books, and then I write 5 gratitudes. And this morning my gratitudes were I was grateful for another day. I mean, we're coming on to the spring. I love the spring. Spring's my favorite time of the year. So I'm grateful that we're moving into spring. I'm grateful that I have this meditation practice. It helps keep me grounded, and that's really important when I'm working with clients, working with anybody. You have to really listen from the heart. Next thing, I was grateful for my children and grandchildren. I've got 6, 7, 8, I think we're up to 8 now maybe. Yeah, I keep losing track, but anyway, that's good. And I put you in there. I was grateful for you and the TV show and the opportunity to be here.
Thank you.
I find that when I come from an attitude of gratitude, that I just have more and more things to be grateful for. It's a phenomenal way that life is.
Shift gears a little bit.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you sharing that with the audience. It gives us real insight into you. This thing called a growth catalyst, would you explain what that is? Because that sounds to me like a branding gimmick. What is it?
Well, when I started in the business, I was working with these leadership development programs, and I was delivering those, so that was kind of like training, and then we kind of like tied coaching into it and got into that business coaching or success coaching model. But what I really do is, as I've looked back on it over the years, it's a hybrid, if you will. It's a combination of coaching, of facilitating, and of developing people.
Could you explain the differences for the audience? Because
Sure.
I see people, I see resumes all the time, and they're vice president of training and development like they're one, when in reality they're different, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So if you think about training, we had 2 great Labradors, right? And we train them. We train our pets. We train animals at the zoo. That's training. Development is working with people to help them be more successful, to tap into their potential, to find out what their blocks are, uncover those limiting beliefs. We all perform we'll never outperform our belief system. So we through this process of delivering this material through spaced repetition, continuous improvement, helping people really develop their own personal goals program and their business goals program, and then get those 2, integrate those 2. So we're looking at the whole person, looking at the person holistically, and helping that person through this series of ongoing leadership development, tap into that potential a little bit at a time.
What are the domains in that circle you mentioned?
So the Wheel of Life domains are health. Obviously, we have our health, our family, social, our career, spiritual and ethical, and learning, mental and education.
So your business is based on helping people in their careers and their business, right?
Correct.
but you take into account all these other things that impact on that.
Right.
That's part of what you do with people.
Yes, absolutely. I remember when I was in the distribution business, my boss would say, leave your problems at home and just, come into work, close the... Well, you know what, that's easy to say, but a lot more difficult to do.
You didn't have a family, obviously.
Yeah, right. So you want to look at the whole person and work with that person to help them become the best version of themselves possible. Then they contribute more. Then everybody's more engaged. Everybody's in this for the win-win.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. So you go, you buy a franchise, you come back.
Yes.
Your team becomes your guinea pig.
Yes.
And you learn a lot from this.
Yes.
What was the biggest lesson you learned where you said, damn it, I'm going to go for it now?
Well, I didn't know if the stuff would work. I thought it would work. So I said, geez, I've got a live audience right here. So I started to work with the materials with my team. And I saw them all grow beyond my wildest dreams. And I said, wow, this stuff is really good. I was getting tired of the distribution business. It was financially rewarding, but intrinsically there was I felt like it was sucking the soul out of myself.
They talk about the difference between success and meaning or significance.
Correct.
And so you had a gap there that you had to fill.
Right. Huge gap between.
And this was a vehicle.
Yes, and this was the vehicle. So I used it. It worked for me. It worked for my clients, and then I went out and did it on my own.
So your clients invest time, energy, and money with you to try to improve the performance of their team. So what are some of the things that they've shared with you about the return on their investment with you?
The return on investment is all over the place. Typically, we see a 3-to-1 to a 10-to-1 return on investment for every dollar invested. And if they really apply the principles, we can help them work on the business at a higher level. All right, take more free time off. I've got one CEO now. When I started working with him 5 years ago, a week's vacation was a lot of time off. Now he's got a summer home. In fact, I met his wife for the first time about a year ago, and he never tells me this. He always breaks my chops, but she told me that I've had a really positive impact on him, and that he's more relaxed, and he's spending a whole lot more time with her. That's a good thing.
Another gratitude.
Yes.
You heard a gratitude from a client.
Yes.
That's kind of one. So I know that there are lots of programs out there that people claim can do what you do.
Right.
So in your mind, if somebody said to you, Michael, what's the difference between what you do and that other program that we had 2 years ago?
Yeah. I think that we, first of all, we go deep. We help people learn these processes, right? So we help them look at their strengths, maximize their strengths, minimize their weakness, set goals, and learn the whole goal setting process, not just write it down in a 3x5 card and stick it in your back pocket and it becomes a pain in the neck, but really go through this process. And it's an ongoing process. It's a continual improvement process. Whereas these one-off program, half-day program, hey, this is a great book. Yeah, there's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great knowledge, but it doesn't all apply, and it's not validated. It's not research-based. And so by going through that process, that's the unique difference that I think we have. We have a system. Everything is a process versus a one-off, half-day, whatever.
So if I'm a business owner, I'm watching the show today, what can I anticipate is the amount of time from getting started with Achievement Unlimited and beginning to see results from the effort? So
that could happen in 12 weeks possibly on a smaller scale, and then work up. Depends on the commitment of the business owner to change his attitudes and habits and behaviors, and we all struggle with that. It's a tough thing to change.
They're changing, and we have a built-in immunity to change.
Yes.
We fight it.
Yes, we do.
I read some research recently that said only 5% of the people truly change. They truly become self-actualized, if you will.
Yes.
And 60% of the people, they just keep going on and keep. So again, if a leader wants to really make a difference in his life, those of his employees, then they need to invest the time, energy, and effort to do this.
Right. And the payoff is tremendous, though. Everybody wins in that case. The employer wins, the employees win. Everybody goes to the bank. And it's funny, that 5% number, that's about the number that continually floats up in research as to the number of people that actually set and achieve their goals.
Wow. So it's a way of, if I read between the lines, when I do achieve my goals, I am really separating myself from the pack. And
Yes.
that's got to show up in my life in lots of different ways.
Absolutely, because we become more confident.
You've encountered many people along the way that you've looked up to, the mentors. I'm sure you've had mentors and coaches. I'm sure you've bumped into your own growth catalysts along the way. So if you were to have dinner with anybody,
Yes.
living or dead,
Yes.
who do you pick?
Marshall Goldsmith.
He's alive, right?
He's alive right now.
Tell the audience a little bit about
Marshall
him.
Goldsmith is probably the #1 executive coach in the world today. Coaches the CEOs of Ford, highest level companies, right, in the world. And he is phenomenal. He's grounded. He works from a Buddhist philosophy, feedback instruments, gets everybody bought in. I had the good fortune of seeing him in Philadelphia for a keynote talk, and I was just blown away at his authenticity, the power to engage people and get them to buy into behavioral change.
My understanding is he's not afraid to tell the emperor, you have no clothes.
He's not afraid to do that at all.
Michael, we have to bring this to a close, unfortunately.
Yes.
I want to thank you for being on the show.
You're
but
welcome.
every week I ask my guests to look into the camera and speak to the audience about anything you'd like to share with them or offer them.
Sure. I'd be pleased to have a conversation with anyone who wants to work on themselves, develop themselves, the people, or your business. Be more than happy to do that. We're all, we have this, this gravitational pull that pulls us all the time. You want to come up for air, have a nice 1-hour conversation, I'll be happy to do that with you.
And what do they have to do to get in touch with you?
Give me a call at 610-793-6609.
And should they mention the show?
And they should mention the show, absolutely.
Okay, and that'll get them what?
That will get them a free hour consultation.
That's the magic word.
Okay, free hour consultation.
Okay, and having known Michael for so long, I can honestly say, you're going to get a lot out of that time with somebody who's an expert at identifying what your potential is and how to maximize it. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Charlie. Really appreciate it.
And I want to thank our audience for tuning in. Next week, back here, same time, same channel, we're going to have another guest that's very authentic, very genuine, and it's going to offer you some insights and practical information you can put to work in your personal and professional life, just like you did today. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week on What's Yours.